Yeah, I just had a couple things here. It's getting a little bit late, but there were a couple things that I picked up today on the way down, and we were looking at some beans, and I guess what I noticed, just laying them here on the table, all of a sudden I started getting beans just falling off. So that's kind of one of the last things, even though they're small and they're shrunk and everything, but they're not turning yellow yet. But I think some of these already have dropped. It looks to me like nodes down here where the leaves are gone. And so that's kind of what we're going to be looking at. Some of the data that talks about when to harvest soybeans. And always remember that soybeans came to the United States as a forage. That's what they were meant to do, and that's why people brought them here. And so there's a lot of data to say when they should be harvested. And of course, they always talk about R6. So if you had beans that were in great shape and they were growing up and at R6, that means that there's one pod that's got a pretty full, the pod is full with seeds, it's filled up pretty well. One of those in the top 4 nodes and you're in R6 or approximately. But we're talking about a whole different situation here, because if you sat around and waited for these beans to get to R6, I just don't know if you'd have anything left. So when you're looking at some things, I know that data is around, and I know some people are talking about that R6. These things are not going to live that long. They're going to go, and plus they're already drying out quite badly. So if you cut these and start raking them and start fooling around with them, they're going to be pretty much gone. Here's some beans also in the same field next to it. And what's pretty amazing is that there are a lot of pods. And if you look down into these, and you can take a look at them, some of these, you just take a look in there, and some of those little flowers that were going to be pods are all brown. They're done. They've been aborted out, and nothing's going to happen. And even on a nice day, if it isn't too windy, if you get down on the ground and look around under the rows there and everything, you'll find those little flowers and little things dropping off. But I was pretty amazed. Here's another one there just dropping off on me. And these were picked on the way down here, so it isn't like they're real old.
You got your hand, you only got like 6 pods on that one.
Yeah, there's not much here. What's pretty amazing, beans are truly amazing to me. If you drive around and you look around and the corn is gone and everything's gone and the road ditches are brown and there's these beans standing there, it is amazing. And even, I guess, take it even further into some cornfields. If you just think about how little water they've had and how far behind we are with water, and there's still some of these fields, not down in here so much, but as you go north and around up in that area, it's pretty amazing. The last thing I just want to talk about is, we won't get into the nitrate testing here, but we do it. We would take a plant like this, and even this nicer one, nicer. Everything is relative, I guess, but this is a nicer plant. We'd be taking a section out down in here about where my fist is, and just slice a section of that, slice it in half, put an acid on it, and a dye, and if it turns a blue color and everything, we can tell you that there's a good chance there's probably some sort of nitrates in there. The problem is, with that quick test, we can't tell you how many. But we can tell you that you've got a nitrate situation, and you'd want to probably take it further and go on to it. The last thing I just want to say on this corn is, in Garrettson the other day, there was a plot tour, and there was 7 or 8 foot corn in there, and it was green to the ground. They're in pretty good shape up there. As you drive around, they got some of those rains, and it's a small area, but there's some fair corn up in that area. They took an ear off that and pulled it back, and even though the plant looked great, It had about an inch or so where it did, it tipped off, there was nothing there. And then there was about an inch or so that had pollinated. There had been kernels there, but they were all dried up and pretty much gone. But the real surprising thing to me was that the next inch or so had all these dented kernels. And as far as I can see, that's kernel abortion. I don't know, I think they were already dented, and that wasn't maturity, and so they were starting to give out. And so even some of the greatest looking fields in the state are starting to see some troubles and everything. And so I think if we look at some of these ears, we have about, I think we're at 2,500 growing degree days, which is for us a maturity. That's what it takes to get to maturity. So we're just about there at 22 or 23, I'm not sure, but we're about 400 to 500 ahead. So you're going to see maturity happening. But what's really pretty amazing is that I don't know that we used to be taught that if you did this, all those silks have not pollinated. They should easily come off and fall off. So you can see on this ear, there's a lot of that never did get pollinated or anything. And so we went through a heat pollination problem, and now the dry and everything. So things are really kind of in tough shape. And there's one thing I always remembered, I don't know where I heard it, but it seemed like someone told me once that corn is made in July, at least in this part of the world. Corn is made in July and beans are made in August. And so I guess I wouldn't be so fast right now yet, maybe, if the beans are gone and they're turning yellow, like was mentioned here tonight. There's no doubt we got to get going. And some of these, I think, too, the way they're dropping pods and everything. But just to speak of some hope out there yet, those beans can still do some pod making. They're indeterminate beans usually around this part of the world that can actually, if they got rains here now, might even do some filling on top yet to make up for the ones that were lost on the bottom. I just don't see a whole lot of that. But the big issue is, and that was the last speaker's talk on these economics. If corn was $2, I don't think there's too many questions about whether it should be chopped or not. The problem, not a problem, but there is an issue in there when you start looking at the possibility of $7 or $8 corn. All of a sudden, you want to kind of think about, boy, there's some corn out there that's worth taking 30 bushel out of there maybe, and I'd hold off on that. What I've been talking to people, they want to know how much corn do I have out there. I've never seen a field so far out here that's just that even, that everything is the same. So I tell them to take a look at the better part of the field, I guess. Really pull those husks back. Don't just look at it. Pull the husks back. Take a look at it. If you see those early maturity going on in there, if those corns are starting to dent a lot, I just don't believe that's a natural thing. It seems to me like it's cutting back. Take a look at that and then try to figure out how much of that field looks that good. And I think maybe you better think about some of those options about chopping or taking that crop. But I guess everybody's situation is different, and that if you have any questions or anything, get a hold of us. If you've got some things you want to bring in to have us test, I think we can do that and at least let you know about the nitrate problems that could be out there and everything like that. I did bring a couple some of those pig weeds in here. We were going to test them just to see, but they do accumulate some things also.